Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Today, the Pittsburgh Steelers released their first unofficial depth chart for the 2025 season in preparation for their preseason opener versus the Jacksonville Jaguars on Saturday. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. Got my takeaways from this unofficial depth chart, some things that did surprise me a little bit today. But if you're ready for the season, you're pumped for the start of the 2025 Steelers season, go ahead and click that thumbs up icon. It really does help out the channel. All right, so my first major takeaway from this, guys, is that Calvin Austin III is listed as the wide receiver 2. Now, this might not be super surprising because Zach Azzanni, the wide receiver coach, did say he was the wide receiver 2 all the way back during the offseason program. But the fact that that is now locked in at this point in time is just more confirmation that Calvin Austin III is viewed as this team's number 2 wide receiver. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. But also in the wide receiver room, a big takeaway here is that Roman Wilson was listed as a third-string wide receiver, as either the wide receiver 5 or the wide receiver 6, depending on where you kind of interpret where he is on the depth chart right now. So you guys can take a look at how things stack up on the depth chart right now that was released today. DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin III are listed as the 2 starters. Then Robert Woods and Scotty Miller are listed as the second-string wide receivers behind them. And then Roman Wilson is listed along with Ben Skoranek as the third-string wide receivers. Brandon Johnson and UDFA Rock Taylor are currently sitting in the 4th-string spots, and then the depth spots are Keyshawn Williams and Lance McCutcheon. So just talking about these 2 kind of takeaways here, guys. First, starting with Calvin Austin III, I don't know if the Pittsburgh really sees him as like an every down wide receiver 2. I do think he is by far and away this team's number 2 best wide receiver, but as we've talked about on this channel quite a bit, he doesn't really give you anything as a run blocker, and the Steelers want to be in 12 personnel a lot this year, and they're going to be doing a lot of tight formations where you're going to be expecting that number 2 receiver to be a run blocker, and Calvin doesn't really bring that in this offense, which is why a guy like Van Jefferson outsnapped Calvin Austin III significantly last year, over 100 more snaps than Calvin last season. Now, obviously, Calvin was the better receiver. He was the second best receiver on the Steelers last year, but Van Jefferson got more snaps because Calvin is just not much of a run-blocking presence on early downs when you go to those 12 personnel packages. So the Steelers have really been hoping that second-year wide receiver Roman Wilson, or maybe at least the veteran Robert Woods, was going to step up into that role. But now that Roman is down at wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, does Pittsburgh really feel that low on Roman at this point? Is this a mistake? Is this a Kenny Pickett situation where they put him in the wrong spot? Because Roman's been playing a lot with the first-team offense. But, of course, last year, he couldn't get on the moving train, as head coach Mike Tomlin liked to put it, even though he was healthy at the end of the season. Really only played just a couple of snaps last year and didn't do anything in those snaps. So, listen, man, if the Steelers don't feel good about Roman Wilson heading into the year, I would expect them to add a wide receiver of some kind, all right? Whether that's somebody in free agency like an Amari Cooper, or whether that's via trade for somebody like Adam Thielen or somebody like Michael Wilson from the Arizona Cardinals or Romeo Doubs from the Green Bay Packers. Right now I think the Steelers do need help in this wide receiver room, even though they are going to live in a lot of these 2 and 3 tight end sets and they want to live in heavy personnel. You still got to have that legit number 2 wide receiver that can help out as a run blocker. And right now it doesn't seem like the Steelers have that presence in their wide receiver room. If you guys want to see some of the options that are out there via trade and via free agency, we talked about the latest wide receiver rumors surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers on yesterday's show, so you guys can check that out after today's video if you guys want to see what the wide receiver options are for the Steelers at this point in the preseason. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Which Steelers wide receiver will get the second most snaps this year? Is that person even on the Steelers roster right now, guys? Could it be Amari Cooper? Could it be Romeo Doubs? Is it Calvin Austin III or Roman Wilson? Who gets the second most snaps behind DK Metcalf in this offense this year? Let me know down there in the comments section for today's pin question. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Fanatics. And while I'm talking about Fanatics today, let me know down there in the comments section which receiver gets the second most snaps. Then we get into this here where we got Aaron Rodgers jerseys that are on sale right now from our friends at Fanatics, guys. 25% off when you use code CLASS or DORMS. It is their back-to-school kind of promotion. So you guys can get a 25% off Aaron Rodgers jersey from our friends at Fanatics today when you use our link, chatsports.com/AR8. That's the first step. That's down there in the comments and description of today's show. You click that link, and then you use promo code CLASS or DORMS to get 25% off a brand new Aaron Rodgers Steelers jersey today. Moving on to some rookie takeaways here. The last three are actually where rookies are lining up in this initial depth chart. We'll start with the quarterback, Will Howard, who is already listed above Skylar Thompson, the veteran, on the quarterback depth chart. He's currently listed as QB3. And guys, Howard's had a really great start to camp to start his NFL career here. He's setting a foundation, of course, with Rodgers in here and then Mason Rudolph as the backup quarterback. That's really a great situation here for Howard to kind of get his feet wet, work with the third team offense, not feel like he has to push out there. And right now he's been really impressing Steelers coaches, including offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who had this to say about the Ohio State product. I've been impressed with Will. You saw it on film, and you get to know him as a person. He's very mature from the neck up. He's as good as any young guy in terms of recall, huddle command. He's still a rookie. They all have to adjust to the speed, but Will's done a nice job. So that's some pretty nice praise there from the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Will Howard. Then shifting our focus here to the running back position, Kaleb Johnson starts his journey to hopefully become this team's eventual RB1 at RB3 to start this first preseason game. I do think we're going to see a lot of him in this first preseason game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, guys, and I think we're going to see a lot of these kind of younger players, Roman Wilson, Kaleb Johnson. These guys are going to get a lot of run in the first half of these preseason games to get them some reps and get them used to NFL speed. But Kaleb needs to earn his playing time, and the Steelers are making that abundantly clear. You got a guy in Jaylen Warren, who in my opinion is one of the most underrated running backs, period, in the National Football League. Kenny Gainwell's had a really good camp to this point, and Kaleb has certainly had his moments, but I would also say that he's had his rookie lapses as well. He's not the best pass catcher in the world. He's not the best pass protector in the world at this point in his NFL journey. He's got to get better in those areas if he's going to want to become the three-down back that he wants to eventually become for this Steelers team. I still think, take it with a grain of salt. I think by week one, he is going to have a role in this Steelers offense, and he'll probably overcome Kenny Gainwell at least at some point this year as this team's RB2. But like I've been saying, guys, if he can turn into a superstar level player in year one, he can be kind of the linchpin that takes this offense to the next level here in 2025. Then the final major takeaway from this first initial depth chart here is that rookie Derrick Harmon is already listed as a starter. Now, we've already known this all the way back, since OTAs, but when they announced him as a starter then, but he's just been super impressive from the word go. It seems like he was worth every single bit of hype that he was getting as the first round selection of the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, and he's already being listed as a starter in the Steelers base formations. Now, the Steelers are in a four-man front more often than they're in a five-man front, so really Harmon is going to be more of a rotational player, but he's going to be ready to go week one as somebody that's going to be ready to contribute as a disruptive presence up the middle for this defense right away, and it's going to create one of the most deep and most disruptive interior defensive lines and pass rushes in the National Football League, and he's a big reason why this unit might be the best pass rush period in the NFL heading into 2025. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Which Steelers rookie will make the biggest impact this year? Will it be Derrick Harmon as a pass rusher? Will it be Kaleb Johnson as a running back? Will it be somebody else? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And that'll be it for our first Steelers Talk video of the day. The Steelers practice in Latrobe later this afternoon. We'll have a full practice report for you guys later today right here on the channel. So click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.